My name is Lara Khoury. I'm an associate professor at the Faculty of Law at McGill University, but I also teach students in the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. So my research looks at how citizens use the court system and liability litigation when they are the subject of health risks. So I've been mostly working on medical malpractice claims, but more recently, I've been working on public health litigation. When we talk about public health litigation, we're talking about instances where citizens sue risk creators for injuries to health that affect large sections of the population and that are linked to public health failures, basically. So this is usually done through class actions. So for example, I've worked on claims by smokers against tobacco companies for having contracted cancer, emphysema, and other conditions. And of course, now I'm working on current and future claims by victims of COVID-19. My MI4 research is done as part of a team that is composed of two other researchers, Professor Alana Klein, who's a law professor at McGill, as well as Professor Marie-Ève Couture-Ménard at University of Sherbrooke. And we also work with our former postdoctoral fellow, Kathy Hammond, who's now a professor at Ryerson University. So what we've been studying since, I guess, March 2020 is the extensive powers that governments have in managing the pandemic. And we've been reflecting on the different accountability mechanisms that surround government action. So we've looked at accountability mechanisms in public health laws, under charters of rights, under criminal law, and through potential liability claims as well. This research is really important because the powers granted to governments during the pandemic are, as everybody knows, very extensive. And the impacts of the exercise of these powers are really far-reaching. By the way, I think the extent of powers that as a society we're granting by law our governments, it's understandable. They're managing really an unprecedented crisis, but we need as a society to reflect on how our governments are going to report to the population and how they're going to account for their decisions, the good decisions, the less good decisions. I'm really trying to reflect on the use by citizens of courts, judges, liability litigation to obtain this accountability and obtain it not only on the part of governments, but also on the part of the healthcare system, and in particular, those who manage long-term care homes. The large question that my research is trying to answer is whether we should, as a society, really sue each other in courts to obtain this much needed accountability from each other and from our governments. And I have to say, where the public health failures are due to suspected serious negligence, I think the answer might be yes. But in many cases, I feel a solution to remedying the suffering some of us are experiencing and the solution to, or the way to learn lessons for the future may not necessarily come from court-imposed liability. And so we have to think about alternative means of moving forward as a society. To me, being part of the MI4 community means being part of a group that acknowledges that alongside the very important and absolutely crucial scientific challenges we are facing and the research that relates to it, we really need to be concerned with issues like state governance and powers, which is our side of the project, the research, ethical challenges, child protection, protection of workers, citizens' reactions to public policy decisions, political economy, health communication, and I'm just naming a few of the projects that are funded by MI4.